David Menzies for Rebel News here in Markham, Ontario. And you know, as the late great Stompin' Tom Connors used to sing, hockey is the best game you can name. Indeed, hockey is Canada's official winter sport. But it would appear here at the city of Markham, the politicians and bureaucrats hate hockey. Just ask Martin Ross. You see, apparently Martin Ross's hockey rink behind me, it is offside, and the city has demanded that it come down. And if Mr. Ross doesn't take it down, that's no problem. The city is going to come in, take it down by themselves, and bill Mr. Ross $500,000 for doing so. It is absolutely baffling. So, Martin, what the HE double hockey sticks is going on here? Can you give us some background of why you put up this rink and why seemingly the city of Markham hates it?
I can't tell you why they hate it. They've never expressed to me why they hate it or why they don't want it, just other than they feel that they can because of a very archaic, very draconian, very vague easement agreement that was done up in the 70s. But I put it in for my kids. I have a boy and a girl who both play hockey. Hockey's what our family does. It's our life. It's always been our livelihood. I've got a very, very large property, as you could see. I'm very blessed to have this property. I grew up with no money. I grew up in government housing. I worked hard, and I've was able to put something like this in for my kids during COVID. They weren't being able to do any training or whatever. So I built a makeshift rink that them and their friends would come and skate on. And you know what? I grew up on the outdoor rink because I grew up in Calgary, where I tell everybody they make real hockey players. And I lived on the outdoor rink, and I forgot how wonderful it was. So I undertook this project for my kids and their friends.
But I believe your story, when we spoke off camera, it began with an issue regarding trees. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm a tree expert after going through this whole thing, but in order to put this in, I did remove 10 to 11 trees. Most of them are what, some arborists would call a weed tree, which is a Manitoba maple. So I'd say 7 to 8 of them were that. You are allowed to take trees down that are 20 centimeters or less. We measured, a couple of them at 19. The tree guy said, no, it's 20.4. So we're going to fine you on that. So they fined me on the trees. I paid my penance. They fined me heavily, and they made me replant trees. I had to replant 51 or 56 trees for the 11 I took down. So I didn't plant 56. I planted 115 trees.
But the city is relentless, regardless that you paid your fine regarding the trees and have replanted new trees. They still want this rink gone. Why?
I wish somebody could tell me. I mean, they told me, they came after me because of that easement agreement. When I started doing it, they came knocking on my door saying, oh, you need a heritage permit for it. And I'm like, there's no bylaw that you can't put a backyard rink in your home, right? They go, oh, but yours is a heritage home. You have a heritage easement agreement. You need to fill out a heritage permit. I'm like, I don't think so. And even if you read the heritage permit, it says on it that you don't need it for the hardscaping, and you don't need it if it's not visible to the public realm. It's not a structure, right? But I said, okay, I'll play nice, and I filled out the heritage permit. So it goes to the heritage department, and there's a wonderful gentleman there who's been there for 35 years. He's the head of the department. And in their documents, the heritage department supported it. Said, yeah, we're cool with it. We're not happy he took down trees, but he paid his fines and he replanted more than enough trees.
So wait a minute, the heritage department, they find this is okay?
They find it's okay. They said in their writings, you can't expect, something 200 feet away from the property to still be under the heritage guidelines, and it's not visible to the public realm. So the heritage department supported it. It then went to the heritage committee, who's made up of the councillors, and the councillor for this ward came to me, and I asked him, what's your problem with it? He goes, well, I'm a politician. Your neighbor's votes counts as 8. Yours only counts as 1.
Martin, let's fast forward this. The city isn't backing down. this ends up going to court.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you were representing yourself. Can you tell us what the nature of the court proceedings were?
Well, they took me to Ontario Superior Court over, clarification of the easement agreement to see if they have the rights to come in here and rip this out, along with my storage shed / pool cabana. And my biggest mistake, I'll admit it, is I just thought there was no way I felt that the law would allow, the city to come in and rip out a hockey rink out of a man's backyard in Canada. So, hiring lawyers, as everybody knows, is very expensive. And I made the big, foolish mistake of going in there and representing myself. That was my biggest mistake. And I lost in court there.
What is the nature now of the case? Are you going to appeal? Or
Well, we did appeal. And, in court, we felt that the appeal really went well, but we lost in Court of Appeals as well. So we have reapplied for a new permit to the city. We've altered the permit a little bit. We've reapplied, and there is a due process to go through that. We have to go through the permit process and everything. And they're not letting that really play out. They say we're coming here October 28th, regardless of your permits that they've already processed, that they've already taken the payment for, they've already taken the money for. I've already spoke to Heritage Department about it. They've worked through me through the different issues, and they've been very, very supportive of making sure everything is properly done. And I believe it was taken away by the legal department or whoever at City Hall, at Markham City Hall, saying, it's in our hands. So I hope that the city comes to their senses and sits down and says, what are we really doing here? I mean, my neighbors were given permission during this whole process to put a full addition onto their heritage property. They built a second-story guest house onto their heritage property. So my only real Hail Mary is that instead of nonsense, common sense comes to the table, and they realize, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Let's think about what we're doing. Let's reevaluate the new application that they put in and kind of go from there.
Okay, so folks, I have a letter here. It's from Graham Seaman, Director of Sustainability and Asset Management. It's dated September 27th of this year, and it's regarding enforcement of court judgment. Quote, "Dear Mr. Ross, this letter is further to the City of Markham's letter to you dated May 10th, 2024, advising that the City of Markham intends to enforce the judgment of the Superior Court of Justice dated December 6, 2022, to effect removal of the concrete sports court / hockey rink, supporting equipment and materials, and rear yard cabana, and to restore the general appearance and topography to its condition prior to March 2021, the construction work. This letter serves as notice that the construction work is anticipated to begin the week of October 28, 2024. This notice is being provided to give you as much notice as reasonably possible prior to the construction work start date. Additional details regarding the construction work and the construction work schedule will be provided as that information is confirmed by city staff. As previously advised in the City of Markham's letter to you dated May 10th, 2024, you are being provided with ample time to remove any items, including compressors, the cabana, hockey boards, or other materials and equipment which are of use and or value to you, including for the purposes of reuse or resale, and to minimize the amount of work that will be required by the city's contractor. As previously advised, please note that all materials and equipment removed from the property during the construction work will be disposed of by the city's contractor. Also, as previously advised, it is the intention of the city to carry out this work in a reasonable manner that minimizes disruption as much as possible in the circumstances, while at the same time reserving all of its rights. Please direct any questions with respect to this matter to Graham Seaman, Director, Sustainability and Asset Management. Martin, That letter brings to mind a lot of questions for me. What would be some of the questions you would like to ask Mr. Seaman?
That could be a whole different episode, but my first question is like where they mentioned they're going to dispose of my personal property that's in the way. So, they're going to take my rink, throw it in the garbage, my storage shed, throw it in the garbage. I don't know if a shovel's in the way. Instead of just pushing it to the side, they'll throw it in the garbage. My barbecue, maybe if it's in the way, they'll throw it in the garbage. I've asked Mr. Seaman, could you please tell me what your procedure of construction is? What is the final cost? Who is the company that's coming to remove it? Who decides what my backyard is going to end up looking like? Do they tell me? Do I get any say in the matter of what my backyard is now going to look like when they tear this all out? Those are my first series of questions, with many more to follow after that as well.
And Martin, where did this $500,000 teardown cost come from?
Well, Mr. Seaman came back here back in June. They haven't put it in writing, but he said it to me, and I have it on video. He said it to me. They came back here. They brought engineers back here. They brought NHL rink technicians back here. They brought all kinds of different engineers to come and figure out how to remove a concrete pad. I don't know why you needed a whole litany of engineers and everything. And he said, I can only recommend that you remove this yourself, Mr. Ross. The city's going to charge you probably $500,000 to take this out.
I mean, I don't know anything about demolition, but I cannot imagine my wildest dreams it getting up to a $500,000 takedown cost. And also, your cabana, that's under the target. Martin, I'm not even trying, but I'm looking over your fence. I see storage sheds by other properties that are also heritage properties. They're allowed to say that. Let's put the hockey rink on the back burner. What's the problem with your cabana?
They haven't told me. I can't answer that. They've never told me what the problem is with this, what the problem is with the rink. One of the city officials who we did have a kind of off the record conversation with, the noise for the neighbors, and you're using electricity.
What?
Yeah, that's what they say. You're using electricity. Yeah,
that you're paying for.
Yeah, I'm using electricity. You're right about that. And it was said twice, and you're stressed. You're using electricity. Yeah, and they sent, they've come here so many times. They've come here with the accounting department. They've come here with the legal department. They've come here with the building department. I came home one day from walking my dog, and on my driveway were 2 bylaw officers, 2 building inspectors, 2 police officers, the tree guy.
The police?
The police, yeah.
It seems to me there's something behind this. There's something to this story we don't know about. Surely it has to be more than a councillor currying favor with 8 voters. Do you have any theories as to what the unspoken strategy here is?
I wish I did. I can't figure it out for the life of me. And this could all be resolved because I've reapplied. Like I said, let's just sit down, Mr. Ross, go through the application and the new application that you put in again, and let's figure things out. But I can't tell you why they have been aggressive about this the way they are. There's so many other issues, like you mentioned, going on in the entire GTA. Not to mention the homeless problem, and the fact that they're trying to build more homes. So if they're not going to even allow a hockey rink, are they going to allow you to? What are they going to do when you start trying to build homes?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the fact that these politicians, these bureaucrats, they work for us, the people, sometimes I think they lose sight of that. But Martin, tell me, you've given me that date. I'm going to mark it in my calendar for a follow-up, October the 28th, or at least the week of October the 28th. If you stick to your guns and you don't take this down on your own accord, and the city comes in and slaps you with an outrageous $500,000 bill, well, I don't know your financial wherewithal whatsoever. Is that chump change to you, or is that devastating?
I'll be out of my home. I will literally have to pack up and leave and take my kids with me. And I don't have half of them. And they've already... Not to mention the amount of money that courts have costed me and all the fines and just everything that they've pounded me with.
Well, folks, as you just saw, so much for that old saying, a man's home is his castle. Yet again, more outrageous and egregious government overreach by a municipality. Unbelievable. Folks, I know you love it when Rebel News brings you the other side of the story, but we need your help. We don't receive any government funding, nor would we take it if offered. Please go to rebelfieldreports.com. That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.